Unfiltered with Dave Letele, episode 7. And today I had the privilege of sitting down and having an amazing conversation with Ben Purua. This is a roller coaster conversation, going to prison at 16 for manslaughter.
And those words alone, bro, was just like, what? I didn't even touch anybody. Mum was standing there, she was bawling her eyes, thinking my life was over.
To coming out, and really thriving now. One of the most powerful conversations I've ever had, filled with many tears from both me and Ben, but there is a happy ending. Ben is a true definition of it is possible. It is possible to change. It is possible to break cycles.
Those 3 words, bro. We forgive you.
However, you must have the right support. This is an important conversation that must be heard. Don't forget to like, comment, share this far and wide. Enjoy. Before we get started, Unfiltered with Dave Letele is proudly part of the Acast network and produced by the amazing team at Fanaticals. This episode is brought to you by my good friends, Trust Motors. Now, they're an amazing company that support everything we do in the community. I've known them for a long time. So if you're looking for a new car, trading in your car, whatever the case may be sure to support those who support the community. Trust Motors, how car buying should be. Ben Purua, kia ora, my brother.
Kia ora.
How's it going, bro?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
You're not too nervous?
Oh, always nervous, brother. No, it's good.
It's good to see you, bro. It was good to catch up with you yesterday. You were up for, you were a finalist of the Young New Zealander of the Year. So, man, your journey, brother, I've been following for a while. Your journey is so inspiring. We want to talk about it, going from born into the dark side, as you say, at Pukekohe, going to prison, for manslaughter, 16. So there's so much that I want to talk about, but I want to start there. Born into crime, start from there.
Yeah, so I think just starting off with my earliest memories, bro, 7 or 8, sort of in that dysfunctional environment, the gangs, the violence, the abuse, that was home. And at a young age, bro, I thought it was all normal. I didn't know anything else. Poverty, growing up in Puki, all my whānau gang members. So all my whānau from Pukekohe, all with the blacks, with the MKs. And yeah, that was life. And I felt that was what I was supposed to be, That is what I'm supposed to be, is exactly that. So all my role models, I didn't grow up with a father. I only had my mum. A father left before I was born. And my uncles were my role models. So seeing them with their pictures on their backs, seeing them the way that they were, I thought, I want to be just like them. I want to be a gang member one day. I want to be patched up one day. So I felt pretty lost, to be honest, as a kid. Because all my other whānau, kids at school, they all have fathers. And I don't know if you've ever felt rejection before, but not knowing who your father is, it just brings out this ugliness in you. When you're facing that thing, it's pretty hard, bro.
Just like, just having that chip, eh?
Yeah.
The chip on both shoulders.
And I can remember this memory where Mum had moved us out of Puki, moved us down to Ngarawahia, and I started going to school and I remember having my first sleepover. I would have been about 8 or 9. And one of my mates, his dad, he come in the room and he said to my 2 mates, "Love you boys," have a good sleep. And bro, they hit me, bro. Hit me hard. That night I ended up robbing them. I robbed their house because I was envious of their relationship that they had with their father. I was envious of it. So I robbed them. I took their money that I seen in their kitchen, and yeah, I was hurt, bro. I was hurt from just that alone, and it caused the ugliness in me to come out. Oh, yeah, I was a really hurt young person.
That's what people just don't get right. I mean, you just didn't. I mean, you didn't even know what love was.
I didn't. So yeah, growing up in this sort of environment with the gangs and stuff, the violence and whatnot, I don't know. I become a product of it. I become a product of my childhood. I loved my mum, but at the same time I hated her. You know, she didn't. Just felt like she wasn't there. She was a drunk. She was an addict. And she cared about her partners more than her kids, you know. And yeah, bro, I become very I become an ugly person. Yeah. You know what? I haven't really talked about this stuff before, especially about my mum. I love her today. But yeah.
It's just that cycle, eh, bro? You know, that's all she knew too.
That's right. That's absolutely right, bro. You know, now that I've sort of come out the other end, and you know, I've sort of had a few conversations with mum, and you know, starting to sort of get to understand her upbringing. You know, she grew up in the home, she was abused and stuff like that. And I didn't know this growing up. I didn't know anything, and yeah, she had it pretty hard.
And I remember reading about, and hearing about, when you were, 7 and 8, you started smoking drugs and, and that drinking alcohol. And then, you look at, I look at my son, 7, and you just couldn't imagine it, eh?
Yeah, it was a facade, bro. It was definitely a cover-up of the pain. Yeah, I needed something because love wasn't there. Mum wasn't there. Family didn't know because we were so far away. So, yeah, drugs and alcohol was something that I turned to at a young age. I tried to hide it for so many years. But yeah, I started using it just to try and numb that.
The pain.
Yeah, that pain, bro. So I couldn't feel. I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to, I didn't want to know anything. I just wanted to be out of it, so, yeah.
I remember speaking to one of the other boys that I know, and he said something similar, bro. I had so much pain, and the reason why I went down that road is I wanted everyone else to feel the pain that I feel. And what he said to me is, I wanted to make them feel like that so that I could feel like the man out here, because at home I was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I was a nobody.
I can relate with that. Yeah.
That's heavy, bro.
These sort of fast forwarding, bro, just before I got locked up. I didn't want to join my whānau, so I didn't go with the blacks or anything like that. I ended up going with the Westside Outlaws down in Hamilton. And, you know, they made me feel at home. You know,
Like you belonged.
yeah, I belonged somewhere. When I was just lost, young fella just walking the streets, I was approached by one of the boys, and he sort of took me under his wing. And, you know, he sort of showed me something that I never felt before, which was that aroha. You know, gave me a kai, gave me somewhere where I can go to. And yeah, I felt like I belonged somewhere, brother. So I ended up joining up with them at a young age. It was not long before I went inside, I would have been about 13.
You patched up with them?
Yeah. And, you know, I could honestly say that the crime did escalate after that, but I felt good. I felt like I was a part of a family. I felt like I was a part of, I just belonged somewhere.
Well, it's everything that you were missing at home, bro.
Mm.
You know, we're all searching for it, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, from there, bro, like the whole drug scene sort of kicked in, the alcohol intensified, the crime intensified, and, you know, I was getting into shit, going into the cells, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, doing aggravated robberies, all these sort of things, bro, that you get up to during that time to sort of try and feed, you know, that addiction, that their want, their belonging. And 15 years old. I was 15 years old, bro. You know, I think about my own kids. I've got 2 daughters. I was just thinking when they were 15 years old, so innocent, bro. You know? Look at 14, 15-year-olds today. So just babies. But yeah, 15 years old. I was out with the boys, having a good night. It was the All Blacks and the... It was the Wales on that night. And we were having a few beers. Had some drugs, bro. And, went out for the night. Shot into Hamilton. Just for a good time. Shit went south, bro. Ended up in a fight with a couple of, I think it was the Wales supporters. And one thing led to another. You know, we were already heightened. And there was a car. I remember it, bro. There was a car there. And we needed to get out of town before we got locked up. Anyway, we beelined for this car. It was on. There was nobody in it. And we went over towards it, bro, to go jump in and sort of take off. And it was locked. Had a turbo timer on. We couldn't get into the car. And the owner came out of the toilets. I was still trying to get into the car to try and get away. And yeah, my co-offender king hit him, bro. That moment changed everything. You know, that split moment right there. changed the course of all of our lives that night. The following week, got arrested and was put inside, bro. I was looking at life in prison for murder at the age of 15. And those words alone, bro, was just like, what? I didn't even touch anybody. I thought it was over. I thought life was over, bro. That was it. There was nothing else to sort of live for, you know? Yeah.
So you end up in prison, I think you went in at 16?
Yeah, I spent a year in juvie on remand, waiting to go out for sentencing. I was fortunate enough, bro, they let me out while I was waiting. And I did the runner.
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't want to wait around. I thought I could run away from all this shit. Thought I could run away from myself, run away from the problems. And, yeah, I ended up getting caught. Here at the age of, it was just before I turned 16. I was sentenced in Hamilton to 5.5 years for manslaughter, and transferred from juvie that day straight into prison. And yeah, bro,
What was that first night like there, bro? My father talks about it. My father was was in the same prison you were in for a while too. But he talked about the first night being in the fetal position. He said no one will really talk about it, but that first night in prison, was some tears were shed for him, thinking about us.
yeah.
What's the 10-year term he had. What was your first night like in prison? Was that rock bottom there?
Nah, bro. That wasn't rock bottom for me. Rock bottom for me was the first time I went away. Yeah. So when I first got sent to juvie, I remember standing in the dock, and my family just come into the courthouse. Mum was standing there, she was bawling her eyes. And yeah, bro, it hit home. So shit, this is about to go down, and it was actually, for me at the age of 15, thinking my life was over, being charged with murder, because the judge, I remember him saying, we're going to put you on remand for murder. And those words alone, bro, was just like, what? I didn't even touch anybody. And it was just that moment. And then when I got taken back to juvie, I probably went into that fetal position then, bro.
Yeah.
That was it for me. And then when I finally got sentenced, I felt like I was
ready for it.
Yeah. Because I had already prepared myself, mentally, thinking, I'm going away for life. This is it. And it's hard thinking about it now, because in the moment, in that actual moment, bro, it was just, you had no control.
Yeah.
You had no control of anything. I had no control of what the outcome was going to be. And, I felt lost, bro.
Yeah. So you're in prison now.
Yeah.
And is that where you discovered the love for farming? Talk us through the prison journey.
Yeah, so 15, I was trying to prove myself, bro, in jail.
Yeah.
trying to prove something. And yeah, my first couple of years inside was pretty shit. Just trying to be something that I knew I didn't want to be. I was ugly. Trying to be this top whatever. And yeah, I was quite fortunate. Once I got moved from the camps, I went down to Te Ao Marama, and I got an opportunity while I was down there to go out on the farms, bro. And when I went out on the farm, just the sense of peace, eh?
Yeah.
The sense of just belonging. I felt something that I never felt before. Just being on the land, on the farm. I felt like I was free. Even though I was in a couple of hours going to go be locked up in my cell, I felt like I was flying. And that love, bro, I found this passion there. I worked there for the rest of my time in Waikaria, and I got released. Would have been about 2014. I served just under 4 years of my 5.5, and I got out the week I got out of jail. I started applying for farming jobs straight away.
Yeah.
The day I got out. The second day I was out, I got a phone call. Come for a job interview. That week I went for this job interview. He said, "Where can you start?" And I'll start now. I was keen. I was still young, bro. I didn't want to stay in this lifestyle. I didn't want to go back to jail. All this sort of stuff was going through me, bro. And anyway, I got given the job.
Wow.
I told him, I've got a criminal record. I just got out of jail. I'm on parole. Anything happens, I'll back off to jail. So, yeah, he gave me an opportunity on the spot, start tomorrow. And, yeah, I started work.
What was his name, bro? Where was that farm?
So this was in Morrinsville. Bull Leasing Services, Roger Wolf was his name. And the manager there was Ivan Munro. Awesome fella. Yeah, he was a good mentor for me, Ivan. And yeah,
that's mean, bro. Like, the crazy thing is too is that you restarted your journey 2014. That's exactly when I started my journey too.
Wow.
And then I was lucky to have someone to give me opportunity. And you know how those guys gave you that opportunity? You didn't want to let them down, eh?
That's right, bro. I felt indebted.
Yeah.
I felt indebted to them. But, bro, the wretched thing is when I got out of jail, I went straight back into the same environment, bro.
That's the hard thing, eh? That's what people don't get.
I went straight back into that same environment. And although my mum loved me, bro, and I remember her words, "Son, we're not going to drink here, we're not going to smoke here, we're not going to," all these things, bro, that she knew couldn't be there, bro, they did it. And I started back up, bro.
Oh, shit.
I started straight back up. Straight back on the drugs. Straight back on the alcohol, bro. And, one thing led to another. Meth was in the game. So, yeah, I started dabbling quite a bit, bro. And then, one thing led to another.
Well, dabbling leads to you just full-blown, you're in it.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't dabble in meth, eh?
Nah. And once I was hooked, I was hooked, bro. And that's just the nature of who we are, when we do something.
All in.
It's all in. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whatever that it is. It was, yeah. And, bro, I become an ugly person again.
So where did that lead you, bro?
It led me on a one-way ticket back to jail. Yeah. I was fortunate enough, bro, to have a beautiful wife. You know? My partner at this stage, just after I got out of jail. And you know, she's really awesome.
That's Nikki, right?
Yeah. You know, she's amazing, bro. And she thought, like, she had life sorted, bro. And she thought that she could help me, not knowing the baggage that I come with, not knowing the pain that I was carrying, not knowing the shit that I had on my shoulders. All the trauma, childhood trauma, all that sort of stuff. She didn't know any of that. And she thought she could help me. But I went the opposite way, bro. I ended up bringing her into my world. I know. And the abuse, the violence, the drugs, all that sort of stuff, bro, just was out the gate. And anyway, I got sent back to jail a couple more times after being released in 2014. My last leg was in 2016 in Spring Hill. I got recalled. And I spent a few months up there. And I remember the phone call, bro. This is probably my rock bottom, was this phone call. Was from my wife. I finally got the opportunity to speak to her. And she said, we're leaving. I'm taking me and the kids, and we're off. And we're over. We're going to Australia. She knew I couldn't leave the country. And, bro, that hit home. I couldn't do anything. I was in jail. But I knew I needed to change, bro. I knew I needed something in order to fight for my family. And I remember calling and I said, can I just have one more chance? Just one more chance. And she gave me that chance, bro. So when I was released in 2016, that's the last time I went back to jail. I got out. I found myself some help. I needed help. I needed something so that I could be there for my family. So I could be the man that I needed to be to protect, to provide, and support my whānau. So, you know, while I was in the system, bro, 60 plus programs.
Yeah.
Once I got out of jail on parole, bro, many more programs. None of them done shit for me. None of them did anything for me. Yeah, I had the opportunity to go on this men's program, and it did help me, bro. I got the tools that I needed from their program, and you know what? It saved my family. It helped save my family, and yeah, I'm thankful for that. Yeah, my family is everything to me today. You know, I do everything for them. Everything I do now is because of them. They're my why, bro. They're everything for me. You know, all the awards, all the mahi, I do everything so that they don't have to see the same shit that I grew up in.
Yeah, I often think that way, bro. Like, I don't want my kids seeing life through my eyes. You know, that we have to see life through our lens. Like, you done well, bro.
Yeah.
I read last night, and bro, that's how much I really wanted to do this interview. I don't read shit. Like, you know, I don't really. Yeah, I just wanted to really, you know, read about you and your journey. And it talked about, you know, there was an award, it was a farming award. But before, you know, you visited the family of the victim and got their forgiveness, and that the weight that you felt free.
Yeah.
What was that like, bro?
Bro, forgiveness is such a huge thing, eh? It's massive. And before going down that path or that journey to getting there, I remember finding where the victim was, where he was buried, bro. I remember going back there and I just had this moment. I had something in me telling me that I needed to do it. I had to. For my own, whatever that you want to call that. And I went and visited him. And, bro, so many things over the years have gone through my head. I know the things that I could have done to prevent that night from happening. Could I have saved his life? You know, could I have stopped my co-offender from doing what he'd done? And even after that, could I have saved this man's life? And all those things sort of been running through my mind for forever, bro. Throughout my whole sentence, even once I was released. I remember this particular moment where the family agreed to meeting up. And, you know, I just wanted to have a conversation with them and I sort of see where they were at. But I didn't want to push anything, bro. I didn't want to, you know, anything like that. But I knew that there was so much more in me that I wanted to give. But I didn't want to start it until I knew that the family were on board. Or just to know that the family knew what I wanted to do. Anyway, I met this whānau here in Tamaki in Auckland. And, yeah, those 3 words, bro, we forgive you, really, bro, that just released this whole burden off my shoulders, all this weight. And, you know, for so many years after I got out of jail, 2016 I got out of jail, 2020 we had this meet-up. So those 4 years, bro, even though I was finished my sentence, bro, I still had my own sentence going on in my head. I was still locked up within myself, and I felt incarcerated with all this stuff, bro. And that moment opened those prison doors for me, bro. And I felt free. I felt like I could finally reach my potential. I felt like I could finally live my life. Yeah. Forgiveness is amazing. But even through that, bro, like, I had to still forgive me. And I still had to forgive myself. And that was a big process too. Because I was always beating my own self up. And that's why I kept turning back to drugs.
Inner critic, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you get over that?
Bro, the right support. Hey, the right. My wife is amazing. You know, she really, yeah. If I didn't have her by my side, I don't think I would be here, bro. To be honest, I needed somebody solid like her to keep speaking life into me, keep pushing me to continue to, just uplift but also keep me grounded as well.
Yeah.
I needed that. I needed her, and I needed my family. But yeah,
It's mean, bro. And bro, what are you doing now? You got you're managing your own farm. It's a massive one as well. You got your own clothing line. You got all these different things you're up to.
yeah.
What's life like now?
Life is amazing now, eh? For the last couple of years, my whānau and I have been on this journey of winning. Winning life, bro. Trying to win in every area of life. And, last year I was named the Young Māori Farmer of the Year, as well as the Manager of the Year for the Central Plateau. And then I went into nationals and won the People and Leadership Award at a national level. And then was named the finalist for the Australasia Xander McDonald Award, which is, bro, that's huge. And then, being named the finalist for New Zealand of the Year. All of these have come because hard work, determination, the right support, a shift in mindset. But definitely because I wanted it.
Yeah.
I wanted it, bro. I wanted it for me. I wanted it for my family. And I want others to know that anything is possible, bro.
Keep yelling it from the rooftops. It's possible, brother.
Yeah. I just want people to know that anything is possible. It doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter your background. Doesn't even matter if you've been in jail. If you really want something. Just like when we were on crack or on meth, if we wanted it, we'll definitely get it.
Do anything.
You'll do anything to get it, bro. So
Shit, that's a good analogy. That's, like you think about when when you're addicted to that rubbish, you'll do anything for it.
That's right.
And then when you're thinking, okay, how bad do you really want to get your life back? Because if you want it bad enough, you'll fucking do anything.
That's right. So I just use that same drive, that same mentality to shift to something positive. Those same traits that we had back then, that hustle mentality, we still got it today. It's just used for positive.
So I say it to the rangatahi that we work with in Spring Hill, where you were.
Yeah.
I said that same hustle that we have from the street life, you apply that to this legitimate world, you're going to be successful.
That's right. And
the same grind.
A lot of the brothers that are in there, bro, there's so much potential. So much, like their entrepreneurship, bro, is next level, When they can run operations out here that are making multi-million-dollars, bro, if they just shifted that into something else, how big can they go, bro? The world is,
What would you say to your 7-year-old self, bro? When you...
What would I say to my 7-year-old self? Bro, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through this shit, bro. Sorry that you had to go through the abuse. That it's not your fault. It's not. It's not your fault that you were touched, bro. It's not your fault that you were beaten. But you didn't deserve it, eh? You didn't deserve that life. But you were dealt it. You can use it now. You can use it to help somebody else that's going through it. Yeah.
And I think that's your purpose here, eh, bro?
Yeah.
You know, is to help those young kids
Yeah.
come from where you come from.
Yeah. Yeah, brother.
Proud of you, bro.
There's a lot of our kids out there, bro, that are suffering the same shit. I was thinking about it, bro. Like, it's cool being at all these awards and stuff, but, bro, my heart always goes back to the people that are still on the ground. And like how much trauma's out there that's going on. You know, some of the kids that are going through the same story. You know, it's hard.
I think what you're doing, bro, and it's similar to, same as what we're doing. But, we got to keep shining a light on those issues.
Yeah.
And, most importantly, showing those kids that it's possible, that you can get out. Things are going to be okay. And to use all that struggle as your fuel to be better.
Yeah.
That's our superpower, brother.
Yeah.
Those of us who have been through it, that's our superpower. We use it.
Yeah.
And what's the ultimate goal, brother, for you and your whānau?
We have this massive vision, brother. That is to set up this transition farm, for our men, for our rangatahi that are coming out of prison, where they can come to and get the help that they need, get the support, their wraparound support, brother. Coming out of jail and getting your steps to freedom, $300.
Yeah. And you go straight back to the same thing you left.
Yeah. Right. Most of us know $300 is only going to get you another queue or some drugs, whatever, and you're going to end up straight back in that same cycle. So there were so many holes in that process when I got out. There was zero help. Once I was released, the door was open, the gate was open, bro. That was it. There was no support after that. There was no follow-up to see how things were. Nothing. And they expect you to be fully rehabilitated when you get out of jail. It's not the case, bro. You've just learned how to become a better criminal in that time that you just spent in there.
Yeah, well, most of the time there's no actual rehab programs in there that are working.
Nah.
So that's the problem. It's punishment, okay.
Yeah.
But it's not rehab. Prison's not rehab.
No. There's no healing. There's no anything. So we want to provide that. We want to fill those gaps that are there.
So what do you need to make that happen?
We need an operating farm. and the right people like you, brother. You know, people with the right heart for the people. You know, they want to see families reunited again, families strong, families succeeding, brothers breaking cycles. You know, so that they can be there for their families. The statistics for fatherlessness here in Aotearoa is crazy. You know, there's a lot of our whānau out there, homes, and there's no men in them.
Broken.
It's broken. You know, how are our kids supposed to grow up, bro, and know how to be men when a lot of them are locked up? You know, so, yeah, fixing the home. So I believe, bro, once you fix the home, then the community will be just behind. Then our nation, you know. So,
Yeah, bro. No, I want to help you with that, bro. I want to help you with that because it's not just, I mean, you got the farming, but you also talking about, you know, all the wraparound, the education around budgeting, all these things that can help them become a success. And that is what there was some research done. I forgot exactly who done it, but it was over in America, and recidivism was massively reduced when they were met at the gate with a program.
yeah.
They were met there. And that's what needs to happen. Because I
does.
remember I spoke at Woody Men's prison, and one of the guys there said to me, he goes, "We're all right in here. When we get out, who do we turn to? Where do we go?" You know, and it really stuck with me, bro. You know, I just said to him, "Well, turn to us." You know, so I'm going to help you with that, brother. I am going to help you with that because it needs to happen.
Yeah.
And last question I always ask, bro, you sort of already answered it, but I'll ask it anyway. It's I ask every guest that comes on as our final question, what is your why?
My family, bro. And my whānau, you know, I do everything for them. 2016, we were homeless. Funny story. Actually, not funny story, but 2016, bro, homeless. Living in our car, lakefront Rotorua. And my wife and I come up with this great idea that we'll set a goal to own our own home. 2016, 17. Bro, we went to the bank. How can we get a home? You'll never get a home. All right. We started our full-time jobs not long after that. 2020, bro. Bought our very first home.
Oh, man.
Bought our first home after being told from many banks, bro, that it's not going to happen. You can't get there. And, bro, just that power of determination, eh? You know, if you want something, how hard are you willing to work for it? Yeah, so 3.5 years took us to purchase our first home. We bought that in Tukuru. We recently just sold it. And yeah, we're wanting to get into the farming industry. You know, that's where we are. And I love my industry. I love the power that it can give. But you know, going back to your question, my why is my whānau. I feel like my purpose is making sure that I can use what I do today to help someone. Now, even if it's just one person, bro, I feel like I'm achieving something. You know, even if it's just inspiring somebody or sparking that flame in someone, you know, to do something, then I feel like I'm achieving something. But yeah, I would never ever thought 10 years ago that I would be here today. You know, bro, locked up in Spring Hill. I thought that was it. Bro. Prison was my life. Gangs was it. Yeah.
It's just, bro. You're a massive inspiration, bro. And just being on here, I mean, you're already helping people that are watching this, you know, and we're here for a reason, you know, and that purpose is, just to get out there and help others that are going through that same stuff, you know, let them know it's possible to change. And, brother, I'm just so proud of you, man. I'm so happy that we got to sit down and share. I know it's only the beginning of our connection and what we're going to go on to do together, but I appreciate you, brother, and so much love and respect, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for this opportunity. When I when I seen the Bros podcast, I was like, this is awesome, you know, because no one really knows the story until someone's willing to sit down and capture it, you know. And I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for everything, bro, that you do with our whānau out there. You're an inspiration to me, my whānau, you know, and thank you, bro.
Me, brother. Thank you, bro.
Massive.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for the support. It really does mean so much to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment on our videos, and share this out. These stories are so inspiring, and they need to be heard by everyone. Thank you so much, team.